Hey there, everybody. Welcome to Comic Books The New Class's first ever mini-sode, itty-bitty mini-sode for Ryan and I. I'm sure we'll still talk longer than we planned because that's how we do. How you doing, Ryan?
I'm doing well. Good to see you again. It's been a while, so let's get right into this. This is going to be fun. They're taking things in a little bit of a different direction, but it should be just fine.
Right. We never have as much time as we want during the live show to talk about all the stuff we want to talk about, you know. So, although Ryan might get sick of me doing the mini-sodes since there's no one else in the comments to like water down how much he has to talk to just me.
I'm sure everything is going to be once again. Everything's fine. We're all fine here now. Thank you. How are you? Let's get started.
Ugh, you don't you don't want to ask me how I am because this is supposed to be a mini-sode.
It is, but I'm sure you're doing quite well. I'm sure you're doing quite well.
Mm-hmm. I am doing pretty well. Pretty well. Partially because I bought new trades. That's what we're talking about today. New trades that we got recently, why we got them, why we're excited to read them. Who wants to go first?
Ladies first.
Ladies first. Okay. All right. I got these heavy monstrosities here. I put a picture so that you can get a better view in a second. But let me tell you, paper, once you stack it all together and then put it in a little plastic bag with cheap little plastic handles and carry it around a convention for 10 hours, gets real heavy. And then your bag starts to break. And so then you're awkwardly carrying it like this under the bag, you know? Just saying. So, to get a closer look at what I've got here, this is Sailor V Volume 1, Sailor V Volume 2, and Sailor Moon Volume 2. So, Sailor V is like the prequel to Sailor Moon. And if you're not familiar with like the Sailor Moon plot and everything, Sailor Venus got her memories back of her time of being like a Sailor Guardian earlier than all the other girls. And so she spent some time being a solo vigilante called Sailor V. So this is all about her time doing that. And then volume 2 here that I actually got for free because I bought those 2 volumes at Fan Expo Chicago not that long ago, a couple weekends ago. So I am really excited to get into these. One, so like I've loved the Sailor Moon anime since I was a kid, and Sailor Venus is my favorite. And specifically, I keep seeing in all these groups where people are like, Sailor Venus was so much tougher and stronger even in the manga. Like they watered her down for the anime. They watered her down for the anime. And I hope that's true because she's already my favorite. So why would I not want to see her get to kick even more butt than before? And then, yeah, they released an entire Sailor V prequel set. So I'm really excited.
Isn't that just excellent? Well, good for you. You're going to dive into that stuff, and of course, it's one of your bread. It's in a way, it's your bread and butter. So nothing wrong with Sailor Moon. And yes, I'm man enough to admit this. I have watched a few episodes of the Sailor Moon series way back when I was much younger, not as old as I am now. But I remember watching it as a kid. I remember liking it. I didn't like super love it, but I do remember liking it to a degree. I did watch a few episodes. That's all I got to say about Sailor Moon. But congrats on the new additions to your collection at home and enjoy the readings. Now, when it comes to me, there's a few of them that stand out. First of all, the reason I bought some of these trades is because we lost one of the writers or artists of these stories. That would be George Perez, passed away recently. So with that being said, one of the first ones I got would be Crisis on Infinite Earths, which is arguably one of the biggest events in comic book history, if not one of the biggest crossovers in comic book history within the DC universe. I mean, Crisis on Infinite, it's literally every character that's ever been in DC up to that point, and they throw them all together and say, hey, the entire universe and Infinite Earths are coming to a close, and we got to unite to solve this problem. Otherwise, we're all goners. So, looking forward to reading this. Once again, Marv Wolfman, George Perez. George Perez we lost somewhat recently, so RIP to George Perez himself. Look forward to reading Crisis on Infinite Earths. And yes, a few people have told me I should read this and check it out if I want to learn more about Marv Wolfman and George Perez as writers and artists. So This is going to be interesting, because we've already seen bits and pieces of it played out on the CW Arrowverse. They did Crisis on Earth X, and they did Crisis on Infinite Earths. They did their own version of the crossover, and I think they did pretty well. Did pretty well with it on the television side of things. Animated film wise, are they ever going to do this as an animated film like they've done with many other things in the DC animated universe? I don't know.
I mean, I think
Would I
they
like
should.
to see? Would I like to see it? Absolutely, I would like to see it because you can get a great roster of veteran voice actors and actresses together and bring this event to life in an animated form. And I would like to see that happen. I don't know if they're ever going to do it, but listen, DC slash Warner Brothers Discovery or whoever owns your studio now, because mergers are happening everywhere these days. Crisis on Infinite Earths. That's one of the first ones that I got. Now another trade that I added to my collection. Once again, this goes back to the legacy that is George Perez. The new Teen Titans, the Judas Contract. My goodness, I have heard a lot about this storyline over the years. I've heard a lot about these characters over the years. They've been adapted into television. They've been adapted into animated films. They even have their own series called DC's Titans. So there's a lot of crazy stuff going on within the Teen Titans fan community. With this, the Judas Contract, people say if you're going to read comics, if you're going to get into some of the biggest, most iconic storylines, the Judas Contract is certainly one that you need to look at and read to learn more about your comic book history. It's very good. So the Judas Contract, the new Teen Titans, once again, Mark Wolf and George Perez. Very much forward to reading this. And I don't know too much about the Titans or the Teen Titans as characters. I mean, I've seen them in animated iterations here and there. But this will be a real interesting piece of history in comic books to read the Judas Contract featuring the new Teen Titans. With that being said, door number 3, we've been talking about George Perez for a little while. Now we're going to switch gears just a little bit, even though it's in the same universe. It's called DC, ladies and gentlemen. If you haven't guessed by now, I'm a DC fan. Well, there you go. I admit it. I'm a DC fan through and through. With that being said, George Bueller of Fanatic Forum himself specifically said, Ryan, if you want to check, by the way, hi, George. Great to see you. So he may not be here on camera, but he is with us in spirit. That is for sure. And he's probably watching this somewhere in his nerd cave or his nerd comic book shop that he works at 24/7. So anyway, Batman the Black Mirror. George says if you want to if you want to read something that's just a little bit different but still sticks within the Batman storyline of genres, check out Batman the Black Mirror. He says it's one of the better Batman storylines that's ever been put into a comic book. And I believe, if memory serves me right, this was the debut of Scott Snyder and Greg Capullo working together as a team for Batman. So this was a bit of their debut. So I'm very curious to see how this goes. And also the Black Mirror, I'm not familiar with this at all. So I'm going into this completely blind, no puns intended, and seeing how this goes. So Batman the Black Mirror, those are some of the latest trades that I've bought recently, added them to my collection. I haven't read them as of yet, but once I do, don't get me wrong, I'll post my reviews on Goodreads, and you who may be watching or listening to this, you'll be the first.
Right. I have to applaud your taste. I mean, if George recommended the Black Mirror, then obviously it's good because George recommended it. And the Judas Contract is like my favorite Teen Titans storyline, even though that's not the generation of Teen Titans I read the most because it doesn't have the Cassandra Sandsmark version of Wonder Girl.
Right.
You know, it's back there behind me.
Back. It's somewhere, not behind me, but it's behind Crayle Studios somewhere.
Right. The lovely blonde lady with the gold eagle on her shirt.
I see
that's
it.
me.
I see it now.
Actually, that's just me. I am Wonder Girl. But it's still one of my favorite storylines, and so that's really high praise for me because it doesn't even have my girl in it. Right. Oh my gosh. Which one are you going to read first, Ryan?
Which one am I getting? Wow, that's a great question. Oh boy, I'm probably going to start small, go with Batman first, and then read the event ones. Judas Contract after that, and then I'll say Crisis on Infinite Earths for last because that's a lot. Like Crisis on Infinite Earths, that is a lot of characters and a lot of stuff going on at the same time. So I'm going to save the really, really big stuff for later and start small with a Batman centric story, and then move on to the new Teen Titans and learn my comic book history. Very good. So there you go. We shall see what happens.
Yeah. I'm going to read the Sailor Moon main storyline one first, mostly because I just finished Sailor Moon Volume 1. I mad that the cover art between the 2 volumes that I bought doesn't match. But that's just a thing with manga. finding all of it matching, like you have to be there like right as it comes out. And obviously Sailor Moon started coming out like before I was born. So I am resigned to probably most of my cover art not matching. You know, that's okay. The stories inside are still excellent. So
You'll be fine.
will I be? Will
I don't
I,
know, probably,
Ryan?
maybe not. I'm not sure. We'll have to leave that up to you. That's not up to me. But there you go.
Yeah. There it is. Are we ready to wrap up our very first mini-sode, Ryan?
Sure, absolutely.
Okay, sounds great. We will see you all. Follow us on Facebook. It's Comic Books The New Class on Facebook, just like it says up in that corner up there. That corner up there above Ryan's head, you know.
Where am I pointing? Here we go.
There you go. Yeah, yeah. This mirror
There it
image
is.
thing.
There
We'll
it
get
is.
it done
Right
someday.
there. Comic Books The New Class. Follow us on Facebook, all forms of social media. Feel free to buy some merch if you will. We got some great designs up there that you may enjoy for you, your loved ones, your family members, even your friendly neighborhood local comic shop. So until then, like, comment, share, subscribe, do all that stuff. And in case we don't see you, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.
Right. And as a special encore to our goodbye, we would be remiss if we did not switch from talking about ourselves. We already said goodbye. Ryan and Crayle aren't here anymore, but the radbear.com is still here at the end of this episode. Use code COMICS10. We get a tiny kickback. You get a nice discount. They have amazing t-shirts. Bye, everybody.